Khan, Sky News.
Now, some very, very sketchy details reaching us here at Sky Centre. Important enough to bring to you, though, at this early stage. We believe that a plane has crashed into the World Trade Center in New York. That happened within the last few moments. No details at this stage as to what sort of plane it is. It could well be a large plane. We are hearing reports of a 737 not yet confirmed yet, although it is a jet. More as we have it. Let's have a look what CBS News is saying, our colleagues over in America.
Southern tip of Manhattan. You're looking at the World Trade Center. We understand that a plane has crashed into the World Trade Center. We don't know anything more than that. We don't know if it was a commercial aircraft. We don't know if it was a private aircraft. We have no idea how many were on board or what the extent of the injuries are right now. We have, I understand, an eyewitness on the phone right now. Sir, good morning. This is Bryant Gumbel. Could you give us your name?
Yeah, my name is Stuart.
Stuart, where are you right now?
I'm working at a restaurant in Soho.
All right, so tell us what you saw, if you would.
I was waiting at a table and I literally saw it seemed to be like a small plane. I just heard a couple noises. It looked like it bounced off the building, and then I just saw a huge ball of fire on top. And then the smoke seemed to simmer down. And it just, a lot of smoke was coming out, and that's pretty much the extent of what I saw.
A private aircraft?
One or two problems with our connection to New York, but you can see for yourself one of the twin towers at the World Trade Center. Copious amounts of smoke coming from the top of that building. These pictures live from our colleagues at CBS in New York. We heard there from one eyewitness who was close to the scene when the accident happened. He said that a plane, he described it as a small plane, hit the top of one of those towers. 107 floors high they are. He said it burst into a ball of flame, and that obviously has now subsequently died down somewhat, and we can see the billowing smoke coming from the top of one of those twin towers at the World Trade Center. As I was saying, 107 floors high. No confirmation at this stage as to what sort of aircraft it may have been that has hit these twin towers. First reports suggested it could well have been an aircraft that was carrying many dozens of people. Other reports say a much smaller aircraft. No further confirmation at this stage. I'm not sure if we can return to our colleagues in New York. We can't just at this moment. We're hoping to hear from our colleagues in our Washington bureau very shortly. We can also stay with these pictures perhaps and hear from our colleagues at Fox News in New York.
That is it.
A live picture. As you can see, Edie, this is different. This is a different perspective than we saw earlier. The plane obviously went in on one side and came out the other. There's debris all over the ground
broke
down
through
below.
On part.
Exactly.
Eyewitnesses are saying it was a small commuter
You're just
plane.
joining us here at Sky Centre. You can see these pictures live from our colleagues in New York. A plane has hit the side of one of the twin towers at the World Trade Center in New York. It happened on a clear day. We believe from our colleagues that many hundreds of people will already have been inside that building. It's just on the tip of the financial district of New York, the very tip of Manhattan. We believe that it's affected something like 10 stories. Eyewitnesses say they saw a fireball during the impact. As you can see now, clouds and smoke billowing from the top of that building, 110 stories high. And as you can see, I don't know if you just saw the plane flying.
There's another explosion. Another plane.
We just saw a plane flying by, waiting for it to come out of the other side of that building, and it didn't. Let's listen to our colleagues from New York.
To the second tower. This has to be deliberate, folks.
Well, that would begin to say that, yeah.
We just saw on live television as a second plane flew into the second tower of the World Trade Center. Now, given what has been going on around the world, some of the key suspects come to mind: Osama bin Laden. Who knows what? Eric Shawn is with us. Eric, I know you have a lot of sources at the FBI and other agencies like that. What can you tell us?
Well, first, I apologize for being out of breath because I was walking down Fifth Avenue, which is close to our studios, and I heard a jet, perhaps a 737 or a small Airbus, flying low, unusually low over Fifth Avenue, making a right. I'm not going to say, I don't know, I don't have any reports on what type of plane hit the World Trade Center, but people looked up and it made a right toward the building.
We're just hearing, actually, we'll just look at these pictures. This happened live on Sky News just after 9 o'clock American time, which would have been just after 2 o'clock London time. We were talking about one of the other towers that had already been hit by a 767. Confusion as to whether it had actually happened by accident or whether it had been a terrorist attack. As I was speaking to viewers and explaining the incident to them and the sketchy information that we had.
That's the Pentagon. That's a shot across the Secretarial building to the side of the White House in Washington, D.C. The smoke appears to be looking southeast across the Potomac River. In the distance, you'll be looking towards the Pentagon building, the center of defense and military power for the United States. And that smoke is rising up from that direction. We have certainly heard reports that another plane had been hijacked, a third plane in all, we now understand, and that there had been an explosion at the Pentagon. We're informed by our colleagues in the United States that this is smoke rising from the Pentagon. Just in the foreground to the left, below those trees, is the White House itself, and the latest report is that the White House has been evacuated. I think you can hear the, that's a still frame, that's actually moving pictures of the smoke rising from the Pentagon. You can see the shape of the Pentagon just down in the foreground, in the mid-foreground of the picture there, the long sides of the Pentagon.
What are we doing now to counter this threat? Because my own opinion is that our societies have responded to the problem of terrorism essentially with security, which is frequently completely ineffective as a response to terrorism.
Mike Yardley, bear with us 1 second. I'm sorry. CBS pictures are reaching us now here at Sky Centre. Michael Kelly is an eyewitness at the Pentagon. He's speaking to them now.
The street, the way that the smoke is billowing here, Laurie,
right. Going into town, and I heard this plane come over my head. It was really low.
What size plane?
It sounded like a small plane, but it was very, very low. And the next thing I know, there was this tremendous explosion as it hit the Pentagon. I looked over, and the smoke started coming up. Pieces of the plane and pieces of the Pentagon were falling onto the 14th Street, onto the Shirley Highway. Very scary. So I did.
Crossing to the World Trade Center in New York, just a moment or two ago, we saw the Twin Tower. It's some 110 stories high. It's starting to fall apart. There's no other way of expressing what's happening. As you can see these pictures,
We can see here to be faltering to some degree.
They were not designed, perhaps, to take a direct strike from something the size of a 737 or perhaps an Airbus, perhaps fully loaded with fuel.
But I suspect that there's a little tiny bit of panic creeping in here, and people are reporting bangs as explosions. There's no confirmation of other explosions, but certainly every government building in Washington has been closed, and the staff of these buildings have been told, look, go home. It doesn't matter how you get home, just go home. Try not to use cars because the roads are totally blocked, but go home, get away. And of course that's causing a considerable amount of confusion, not to say panic here.
Bear with us 1 second, Keith Graves. We're taking live pictures from our colleagues at Fox News in New York. We know that one of the Twin Towers at the World Trade Center in New York collapsed a short time ago. Some 25,000 people work inside that building. You just saw live here on Sky News. The second tower has collapsed. The second tower has collapsed.